Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. We hope that you enjoyed
Good morning,
the show.
good afternoon, and
There
good
are
evening,
so
everybody.
many more for
Welcome
you
back to
here
another
on
edition of Building Your Business,
selfdiscoverywisdom.com.
right here on
Just go to the
selfdiscoverywisdom.com.
podcast tag
I'm
at
your
the
host,
top
Sarah
there, and you'll
Troy.
see
My guest
all the
today
many
is Todd
genres
Mitchell.
and all
He is
3,000
the
shows
cybersecurity
ready for
guy
your
for
listening.
small
We are here to
businesses,
serve
not
you,
for those huge
to
big
help you on your
conglomerates.
journey of
He
life.
started
And we know that through
Cybersecurity for
inspiration,
Biz,
it begets
number
invitation.
4, because
We
he
are
was working
supported
for the
by
military
you,
and
the listeners,
implementing
and those that we
cybersecurity.
interview.
When his friend's
Anything
solopreneur
that you
small
can spare
business
us
had
in
a data loss
donation would be
issues.
greatly
While trying to
accepted.
help him, he
And we do
realized there
hope
were
that you
no
enjoy the
resources
next show.
available for small businesses. All the cybersecurity companies said that they would only work for small to medium, like 100, 200, 1,000 business, at least 250 computers in the network to qualify. Additionally, the solutions offers are focused on server stack and network, not a laptop on home router. Most entrepreneurs and small businesses are likely to have 0 to 5 employees and cannot afford and do not need that solution. So he made this decision to open a business and provide a very relevant, affordable solution to very real problems in today's world. He works only with solopreneurs and small businesses, micro businesses, to help them become cybersecurity compliant. His mission and his passion is to help the little guy, helping the little guy. So he's a veteran in this business. He knows exactly what to look for. He's got it all there, right from the Marine Corps, Navy, and so he knows what kind of support that you do need. We don't, and it is forever changing. One moment you put something up and you think you're secure, and then there's a hack coming along. And there you are compromised. And with so many phishings and false emails and everything else coming at us today, I don't know how much time I spend today, fake, 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 not opening that, don't know who the hell you are, and just don't, delete, delete, delete. And that takes a great deal of time. And whatever site, security you have on your computer, they still manage to get through. So how do we protect ourselves as a small business so we can get on doing the business that we're meant to do? Welcome to the show, Todd.
Well, thank you for having me, sir.
My pleasure, my pleasure. We've really got to that stage in the world, haven't we, where, we're bombarded. I don't know if you rounded up all the hackers in the world, I don't know what percentage it would be, but obviously it's very profitable to hack people, and there's so many unique ways that they can come in nowadays. The PayPal one, for instance. You immediately need to click on this for your account, so you've been hacked, or the bank. It does, and then you go in and you press that because you think there's something up, and what you've done is just given them power. And it's so hard to tell, isn't it? Help us, Todd.
It is, and it is the modern day. Back in the 70s, people used to thump you over the head and steal your purse, or
Yes.
take your wallet out of your back pocket while you're walking down the street, and and now it's the easy way, um, you know, to to do exactly like you were saying. I can make up some fake email, send it out to 1,000 people. Even if only 1% of them click on it, I still got, 10 people clicking on this email. And if I can get half of those to send me money,
Mm,
or, the other half, I use some nasty software to get into steal their contact list. So I got more people I can send my email to, or,
mhm,
a few minutes of my time, and, make a couple $100, which is, like I said, that's why I kind of equate it to the pickpockets in the 70s.
mhm,
Um, and So what we can do is, just be aware.
mhm,
One of the things that I kind of my little pet peeve, I guess you'd say, is Hollywood makes us think that, hackers are people sitting in their mom's basement in a little black hoodie, clacking away on
Yes.
the keyboard. Nobody woke up this morning and said, "Oh, I'm going to write code for the next 12 hours until I find a way to, get into your computer." And that's why they call it phishing. You make these fake emails and fake text messages and fake websites, and you just throw it out there and see who bites. Just
Yeah.
like when you're going fishing,
Yes.
nobody shows up at the lake and goes, "Oh, I want that fish." You just throw your hook out and see which one bites. Um, and it is difficult. There are ways you can spot them. Um, a lot of this involves common sense. Um, were you expecting an email from PayPal? Has PayPal ever emailed you before?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like with my bank sends out text messages all the time that
Mm-hmm.
basically say, "We will never send you a text message." If something's wrong with your account, log in and go to the notifications over in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if I do get a text from my bank saying, "Click here to fix your account," or whatever, or "You won't get paid," or something, then I know it's not true because they never send me anything that way. Um, Other things that you can look at is also, um, if you're on your computer, look at the actual website that they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to, hover your
Mm-hmm.
mouse over it and it shows up and tells you where it's sending you. If it's where it's sending you is nowhere close to where they said they were going to send you, don't click it, and look at the
Also,
email.
the actual email very often just is letters and numbers, right, and not a name on it. So, yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah.
and and that's and that's something I wouldn't do. I mean, I see people all the time. I just got one yesterday, as a matter of fact. One of my clients sent me a screenshot and said, so that she just got something from her Amazon account saying that somebody had tried to log in India and click here to verify it's you and
Mm-hmm.
restore your account or something. And I'm like, except the link it was trying to send it to her was not Amazon, you know, and
Yes.
and think about it, and even just the solopreneurs like us, the small time
Mm-hmm.
professionals, we've all made that conscious decision to spend, the $72 a year to get your Gmail turned into a real domain name instead of
Mm-hmm.
having a Gmail account. So, Amazon and PayPal and all these big
Mm-hmm.
companies have their own emails. So when they're
Yes.
sending something out that doesn't have the right name on it, it's not going to be true. So those are the biggest things that can kind of help you with that type of thing is just
Mm-hmm.
being a lot of it is looking at where it came from and who sent it and why, and and is there, and if anytime they send you a link, you can easily just go to how you would normally get into your PayPal or your Amazon or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then
And
you'll
check the
notice, yeah,
Yeah, there'll be a
and,
notice. However, I had just changed banks and I got a text saying, um, suspicious thing going on in your bank, and but that's all they said. They didn't say, "Did you authorize this or anything?" And I go, "Yes or no," and I just went, "Okay," like, "All right, you're telling me, okay." And I went into my bank account and there was nothing, so I dismissed it. Next thing you know, I'm out shopping and my card is frozen.
mhm,
And I go, okay, what the hell's going on? I go to the bank and I said, look, nothing. There's no warning on my bank account. No, we do it by text. And I said, do not assume everybody uses text. And also with so much phishing going on through text, I'm suspicious of that.
yeah,
I go to my account and I expect to see a warning up there. Right. And I just, you take this to the top, please, because this is, you're not only you don't have the security for a text, but you're just catering to a young generation that don't know how to talk on a phone anyway. Everything is done through text, and you're
right,
dismissing a whole other generation, that actually wants to see proof or validation or a phone call. Did you? Right? So even that you have to be suspicious of. But if I go into the account and I see there is a warning, then I'm going to proceed with what's next. But if I don't and you're just sending a text,
yeah.
then no.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And some of these organizations don't, like you just said, they're thinking of how to reach the most people and how to speak to
Hmm.
the younger generation to get
Hmm.
them to pay attention, but they're not thinking about the fact that they're doing the same thing they tell everybody not to do for a phishing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And like I remember with PayPal, there was obviously something going on for a while, and they would send an email, do not, do not respond to these emails. If there is any compromise, we'll ask you to go into your account from your own server, right?
Yeah.
Not from this, because clearly they've been caught. And there was another time I was actually a different bank, but I was in my bank account. I was actually in the account, and something popped up. We're doing a survey. Can you do this? And I thought, okay, fine. The bank wants to improve itself. And they wanted my bank number again, put it in. Next thing you know, my bank is wiped out.
Hmm.
And several of us got caught on that. And they said, but you clicked on. I said, but I was in my bank account. How did it come up in my bank account? If I'm actually in there and it pops up, then I'm assuming it's you.
Right.
So they gave me my money back, but it's like, how do you secure yourself? Because pop up this way, pop up that way, and that's what you just seem to be doing is like a mosquito all the time.
Yeah. And the crazy part about some of these are is depending on how they're designed, but um, if you've ever done any graphics design work or website building or anything like that, those of your listeners that are familiar with this type of work will know you can literally make that button any size, any color.
Yes, yes.
So you make it the size of your entire screen and you make it transparent. So now it literally doesn't matter whether you click yes, no, maybe, hit the X to get out of there or whatever you want to do. Anything you click anywhere is responding. And so another little piece of information, the reason why they want you to click is think about if you've ever downloaded legitimate software on your computer.
Hmm.
One of the first things that happens if you're on a Windows or a Mac is your operating system has that little pop-up. Something is, this software is trying to make changes. Do you want to let
Yeah.
it yes or no?
Yes.
And you got to say yes to let it download. So what's happening is the bad guys are sending you these fake emails wanting you to click or a text or a picture or a file to download or anything because they just want you to click somewhere on the screen because then they can run back to Windows or iOS and go, look, see, she clicked the button. She wants this software on there. And it
Ah,
bypasses the operating system security because
yeah.
you did a user action and clicked the button. That's the
Right.
reason why they're trying to get you to click all the time. All these things are always ended with a yes or no or whatever
Mm,
because they just want you to click something someplace. And when you click it, that's letting them download malware onto your computer.
yeah. Boy, I literally had this is going back early 2000s, and I had Norton on my computer, and there was a horrible worm virus sent out. And I took my computer in, and they said, I'm sorry, we can't. This is so embedded. I literally had to dispose of the computer, and this caught a lot of people.
Hmm.
All of Norton, everybody else at that time was just like, my God, this is so vicious. And they,
Yeah.
needed to get ahead of that. What I find most places do today is that you set up, when you set up an account of anything, you set up a security thing. And generally it's your phone, where they then send you, did you authorize this or text to send it, but they actually have to then send it to your phone for
Right.
authorization. And we really do need to set up those
And
authorization platforms.
yes, yeah. I always tell everybody that it's called multi-factor authentication. So it goes on the premise of to identify you as a person, there's something you have,
Hmm.
something you know, and something you are
Hmm.
three categories. So the something you know, that's easy. That's your password, that's your security questions. Something you have could be your phone.
Hmm.
The something you are, that gets a little more complicated. It's more secure, but it's, retina scans, DNA,
Hmm.
fingerprints, things like that. It looks good in the spy movies when you gotta, take the guy and kill him and then drag his hand over and
Yeah.
stick it on,
Cut the
yeah,
hand off.
stick his face up against the wall to get but in real world, that
Yeah.
technology is a little bit too expensive for
Hmm.
so doing it with the text going to your phone. And I equate it this way. I like to use physical house analogies because people can relate to those much easier than they can the cyber world sometimes. That's a deadbolt lock on your front door.
Yes. Yeah,
And I mean, it's there. Why would you not use it, right?
exactly.
Everybody always just flips the lock when they go to bed at night, at least, if not during the day, that kind of thing. When you get in a hotel room, put the little chain over or whatever. So this is, I mean, if you think about it, it reduces who can hack into you. If
Yeah,
it's just username and password, anybody on the planet theoretically can figure out your username and password. So now you got 3 billion people that can hack your account. If you
yeah,
put that multi-factor authentication in there, now it's only the handful of people that can get their hands on your phone or crack your phone number or clone your phone or something. But you just reduced it from 3 billion people down to a half a dozen. You
yeah.
know,
And they're generally not going to go after the kind of the small guys anyway, because they're looking for the big fish,
this is
right?
technically one of those situations where you don't have to outrun the bear.
Right.
You just
Yeah.
have to run faster than the guy next to you. Let
Yeah.
him get eaten by the bear.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, we had a security system put in one of our houses, but before we did that, we put up security um decals or whatever. And it was well known that if you have a security system, they're going to avoid you because the
mhm,
next house doesn't, right? So
exactly.
they don't know. They're not going to test it whether you do or whether you don't. And
And
I
these
think
people
that,
are generally lazy and
yeah,
trying to find a shortcut to get rich,
yeah,
or they
of
have a
course.
real job someplace anyways.
Hmm.
So if you make it too hard, they're just going to move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's sad today that, especially solopreneurs or, small businesses that there is so much of this other stuff that they've got to take care of. Never mind the marketing of their business, the networking, all of that other stuff, where they would love to actually just spend time and doing what they need, are skilled to do. But now so much time is on the other stuff. And now you add in, oh, the security. What have I? How do I secure? I've just got a pish. What do I do now? And,
Right.
for me, it's just go into those three buttons and just press phishing and that's it, and then it will block it and take it away. But it is all time consuming, and frustrating, where really they just want to get on. They have only so many hours a day. They want to dedicate it to their clientele.
Right. And that's what makes people like myself that let us do that for you kind of a
Yeah.
thing becomes very appealing because big companies are and it kind of what you were alluding to with my introduction. you know, Big companies, Amazon and Google and other, those guys have hundreds of
Yes.
experts like me
Hmm.
working for them already to make sure that their network is secure. You don't have anybody. So
Yeah.
that's the whole, you either need to, like you said, take that extra little time and become an expert, or you need to get a professional to help you out because
Yeah.
and the consequences are enormous to me
Hmm.
because when you hear about Home Depot or Lowe's or Wells Fargo Bank or some big hospital, Kaiser Permanente Hospital or something, they get hacked and it costs them $75 million to clean it up and pay
Yes.
everybody back the money they got stolen from identity theft and all this other stuff. They just write that off as a bad year. Something like
Yeah.
that happens to you. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to cost 75 million to clean it up because you only have 1,000 records, not,
Yeah.
millions or whatever. But it's still going to cost you several $100,000, $500,000.
Mm.
And for most of us, that's it. You're done. You're out of
Yeah.
business.
Mm.
You're lucky to keep your house at that point, let alone your
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah.
so we have to be extra diligent in making sure that we're doing everything we can possibly do to prevent that in the first place. This is definitely, to quote one of those way old sayings, this is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That is
Yes.
totally true in this case.
Well, we buy car insurance, we buy health insurance, right? And what are those insurances? You may never need them. We don't want to have to need them. But when we do, we had a house fire. And that house fire to rebuild and the contents and everything else came to $380,000. Right? Had we not had insurance, where would we have had that? A house wouldn't have been worth anything to sell. The land wouldn't have been worth that to rebuild. We would have lost everything.
Yeah,
So we hope that it never happens, but it only needs to happen once. for
Exactly.
you to actually understand. Thank God I had it.
Right. Yes. And no, that's very true. And that's, there's two sides of the cyber world, the prevention side and the recovery and side. And the insurance helps with that recovery. This
Yeah.
definitely they sell cyber insurance policies specifically for businesses to help pay for the cleanup if something happens and things. Because another thing that people don't realize, you see this in your daily life, but you don't think it applies to you so much because that's how our brains work.
Mm,
But anytime there's a breach of credit cards or financial information, social security numbers, medical information, anything like that that you may have about your customers, and this applies to any business, um, one of the first things you have to do is send out a notification, and you've gotten these before in your own, you get them in the
mhm,
email, or in the mail, you get a letter from, oh, we were hacked and this is what happened and this is what we're going to do and this is what you can do and click here for your free credit monitoring. Well, it's free because they're paying $200 a year for it for the next 2 or 3 years for you,
mm,
right?
mm.
So if you think about this as a business owner, if you've got 100 customers and you lose all 100 of them get their social security numbers
Yeah.
or their financial bank account number or credit card numbers or something get just breached and stolen. Now you have to go spend 100 or $200 on LifeLock or Experian or one of those competitor companies that does identity theft, and you have to pay for that for them. That's a couple $100. That's not that bad, except you got 100 clients. So 100 times
Yeah.
200,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're just getting started. That's not even if they do get identity theft and then they come after you for damages and things like that. And if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do to protect their information, judge is going to hit you for 100% of the damages, things like that. So it just snowballs. It really can. Um, and
I
I,
mean,
I call it the basic cybersecurity principles of, things like you were saying, keeping your software up to date,
mhm.
using that multi-factor authentication, making sure you have strong passwords, and don't keep using the same one. I mean, I know professionally, I have
Oh
to
my
tell
God,
you,
I've got so many goddamn passwords. It's my
yeah,
mind boggles.
well, that's what I'm going to say. I know professionally, I'm supposed to be telling everybody use a different password for everything, but I'll be honest, we got hundreds of accounts. You don't always use the
Exactly.
same. But there are categories that you want to make sure your social media is on a level down here. Your junk mail that you signed up just to get some free
Mm,
download, that's like
yeah.
the bottom. And then the social media. And then you have like utility bills and school accounts and business accounts and work things. And then at the top is your email. And the reason why I put that separate, because a lot of people will tell me, oh, my email is not important. I never say anything important in there. It's just, chatting with grandma about a kitten or whatever. But that email account is what you use to log into your Android phone. It's what you
Ah,
use to make a
yes.
Microsoft account to get into your Windows. It's what you use to make an Apple
Mm,
ID to get into all your Mac devices and Apple devices. So you want to make sure, at least on those levels, you're using different passwords. If I hack your Facebook account and get that password, I shouldn't be able to get into your bank or get into
you're
your
right.
phone and pull down your contact list. So
Yes.
you want to make sure that those are at least separate, going by categories. Um, but keeping things up to date and just staying diligent about clicking those emails is the biggest things that we can do. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff like you're seeing the news and in the movies about people being hacked and databases being corrupted and all that, but 92% of data breaches are caused by human error.
Mm, yeah.
And 80% of that.
Unaware, right?
Mhm.
we think we're being due diligent. I clean my computer every few days with C cleaner, empty cache. All right, make sure I delete things. But it still happens. It still happens that once, I mean, our email is even if you have a site where you then have to sign up, our email is always going to be exposed somewhere because
Mhm.
anything you join, anything you do, it's email they want, right? So emails are the most vulnerable for the way to get to you, and so that is kind of the battle point right there, isn't it? And due
And some
diligence and
people
looking.
some people even use multiple email addresses.
Yeah.
Um, I tried it, but my brain just doesn't work that way, and it just didn't work out for me. But I know a lot of people will make an email address just for junk mail, and then have
Yes.
another one that they use to log into their accounts, and another one they
Yes.
use to log
Y-
into their
th-
phone or whatever,
that's me.
Um,
I
yep.
have different
And
emails for different reasons. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got one for work, one for home, and one for some other organizations that I'm in, and that's too many for me to track as it is. It's like, okay, I can't remember which email I was using. But
Yeah, that is a
um,
problem sometimes, which one, and then, especially podcasting, which email did they come in on? And so,
right?
take the name, put it in each email and see which one comes up. So,
Yeah, definitely. But um, yeah, the basic cybersecurity is a good thing to do. And as a business owner, you have to be extra diligent because it's not just your information. Now
yes.
you don't, you're not protecting yourself from identity theft. Well, you are that too, but you also, you know, as a consumer, when I give you, when you ask me for name, address, email and credit card numbers and, or your doctor asking you, patient information and things, you're just assuming that they're protecting that information. There's an assumption there, I mean, our customers and the general public at large are trusting us to keep their stuff safe. And so we need to do everything we can to make that happen. It's kind of one of those things where, because in addition to the financial, what kind of a reputation is your business going to take if you
Yes.
make the 6 o'clock news for having all your customers, email addresses or social security numbers or credit card numbers or something being released? Who the heck, if you're a bookkeeper or
Hmm.
a tax preparer, you know, and you just had 1,000 clients get all their financial information
Oh,
tossed
yeah,
out there. Who the heck is going to hire you to do their taxes
exactly.
next year?
Exactly, exactly. And and that's, I mean, as far as payment is concerned, all my payments go through PayPal. And yes, you pay a 3% fee, but that's worth it because I know, the money is going through there and it makes it more secure for other people, rather than directly coming into me. And then also I can be more trusting, because I know that it's in PayPal and it's not suddenly somebody's paying me this way, and then you click on it and find out it ain't a payment, right? It's something
Yeah,
else. So, there's always these type of things that you can do. But how, other than kind of all the things that you put on your computer that are meant to protect your computer, keeping it clean and, caching and making sure that you shut down at night and all of those type of things kind of preserves your computer to a big deal. But, how do you protect them? On, how much of our work is done on the computer? Mine
right.
100%, right? So
So,
how do you
yeah.
protect them?
So for my clients, what I do is I break it into 3 phases. So the first phase is I use enterprise level cybersecurity software. So um, think of it as an antivirus on steroids. It's
Hmm.
so a normal antivirus that most consumers use, like McAfee or Norton or Avast or many of the other ones. Um, those find a virus, put it in a folder called quarantine, and leave it there, and then just tell you about it. So the next level is called endpoint detection and response. The buzzword being response. It doesn't just find it and put it in a quarantine. It figures out how it got in, plugs the hole so nothing else can get in,
Right.
and I call it the mothership, and reports it back to the mothership so that they can send the patch out and tell the rest of the computers in the world what
Yes.
happened, so they don't get hit by the same thing. Um, then the next level above that is what we call managed detection and response, and that's what I do. So now I am the one getting all those alerts and worried about whether it's a false alarm or whether we need to do something or where did it come from or are you clicking the button too many times and I need to
Hmm.
train you again on how to recognize these emails or whatever it is, right? Um, so I do all that for you. The second phase of what I do is I take a look at your business. Um, Processes and software and things. How are you collecting information? How are you
Mm.
storing information? How are you transmitting back and forth to your clients? Is stuff going over plain text, emails? or do they have a secure portal they upload things into? You know, and how are you getting all this information? After you get it, where do you put it? You know, like you were talking about with the credit cards. Are you sending
Yes.
them a link to PayPal saying, here, you go in there and do it yourself, and I'll just find out when it's over with? That's the best way. Other
Hmm.
people are like, oh, well, I send them a Word document and they put in all their stuff and email it back to me, and then I type it into PayPal myself or what.
Right,
Not a
right.
good way,
No,
right?
no.
So I go through kind of what they're doing, take a look at that and make improvements to it and make recommendations. The software they're using, a lot of it is very secure, or let me rephrase that. A lot of it can be very secure, but it
Hmm.
doesn't come out of the box that way.
Right.
These manufacturers send things to you and the defaults are at the lowest settings, not the highest settings. So we
Yeah.
go in there and change that. And then the final thing that I do is planning and documentation. So now that you're secure, let's make a cybersecurity policy that you can give to all your employees, or you can show to the bank or the government or anybody if they come ask, or if you're trying to get a business loan and they want to know how you're doing
Hmm.
business, you can show them, hey, I got a plan. This is what we do with all our security to keep things safe. Um, I also help with incident response plans and data breach plans, you know, so kind of what's your plan if, you know, a hurricane hits or a forest
Yes,
fire
yes,
or a
yes, yes.
death in the family or
Yeah.
something happens to you and you end up in a coma, you know,
Yeah.
or you get hacked or whatever. Now, what are you going to do, right? You don't want to make business decisions in the middle of a panic attack. So you
No.
want all that thought about ahead of time with, you know, the plan may not work exactly, but at least you've thought about most of the stuff and have it written down of what to do. So you can just pull out the checklist and start getting to work about getting things back to normal. And so those are kind of the three areas that I help people with, is basically keeping them secure in the first place, making sure they're doing things as safe as they possibly can, and making sure they have a plan for in case something goes wrong. And as well as I also am there to, you know, I can't guarantee you never get hacked, but I can guarantee you won't go through it by yourself. I'll be there holding your hand to
Mm,
walk you through it.
right. Exactly. So you're an insurance policy,
And
right? So, in
yeah,
it's prevention in case anything does go wrong. I mean, yes, I mean you can have insurance, you can do everything right, but things happen. Hurricanes happen, floods happen, fires happen, right? So, I mean, you can lose your home and everything else, but you can lose your computer with everything on it. Right now, how do you retrieve? How do you get things
right,
back? What do you do? Because when you are exiting a house that's on fire, you're not thinking about your computer. You're
right.
thinking about the family. So,
Or a
you know,
flash flood and you run out of the house and your computer gets washed two streets down and somebody picks
exactly.
it up and opens it and now he's got everybody, you know, if you're a doctor or something and now he's
Yeah,
got everybody's patient files sitting in front of him. Yeah.
right. So, I mean, there's all of these factors that are in there that unfortunately today, because of climate change and climate warming, we're seeing for ourselves the evidence of it. And, people not even taking their pets, which I never understand. They're your children. Pick them
Right.
up, take them with you. But, we're seeing this, but it's like a second's notice to get to safety. And you do not think of your computer. I mean, I'm on a laptop right now. I'm about to go to a desktop because my laptop just can't cope with all the work that I do on it. I'm not going to be running out the door with a desktop. So we need to back up a lot. I do an awful lot of external hard drive. Take
Hmm.
stuff off and put it on external drive. You can put those in a Ziploc bag and they'll be easier to find or whatever the case is. But it's we have to be conscious of this today because this is the world that we're living in.
Right.
We didn't used to have all of this, but now, it's how many times a year do I have to get a new bank card because it's been compromised? And they may have just picked it up somewhere, how, whatever, I don't know. You use it at a store and somebody's got the number. I don't know how it happens, but it does. It's highly
Yeah.
irritating, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got to go into all the places that you pay with that card and change the number again.
Yeah.
So, which is
Huge
annoying.
inconvenience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of, and that's, I think, a lot of the reason why when I was saying human error is the number one cause of
Yeah.
these things, and I think that's a lot of what it is. Our society these days, we want instant gratification and we want the easy way to do
Hmm.
everything. And some of this security is not convenient. You know, it's
Right.
inconvenient. Um, I try to find ways to make it not so painful to do all this, and try not to change what you're using and how you're doing business and just try to make that a little safer. Um, but that's part of you know, and the big businesses are falling prey to this stuff too,
Oh yeah. Yes.
so but so many things are gonna be changing even more. Some of the things that I've noticed, um, I'm involved in some industry groups and kind of
Mm.
stay, up on, well, like with the payment card industry. One of the big changes coming out is credit cards have had that little scan code on it where you slide it. That's
Yeah.
going away
Ah,
because
okay.
think about this. Every time you go to a hotel, they just pull out a blank card, stick it in a machine and program it for your key for your room number.
Aha.
You can buy one of them machines for like $200 on Amazon, and then I could go program my credit card. So even though it has my name and all that stuff on it, every time I scan it, it's taking money out of your bank account, not mine.
Wow. Yeah.
And so some of these things they're being replaced by the chip with the touch, and
Mm.
and the app on your phone with a secure app that you had to use multi-factor authentication to get into and all that kind of stuff to make things more secure with these credit card transactions. But those take years to implement because they got to
Right.
replace everybody's card, and they got to replace all
Yes.
the mom and pops have to buy
Yes,
new
all the machines
equipment for
that they
the,
have. Yeah, I mean,
yep,
the other annoying thing is when you go to pay, every pay machine is different. And
mm,
some you have to tap here, some you have to tap there, some you do this, you some do that. And it's why can't you make it universal and easy? But here's
yep.
a question. How many people lose their phones? I've got three millennials. They've all lost their phones somewhere along the line. And you use your phone to secure things. So you want to go report you've lost your phone or you want to retrieve something. You can't. Your phone is gone. What happens
Right.
then?
Well, a lot of these now, the big phone companies like Samsung, well, either the manufacturer of the phone or the phone's carrier. But the manufacturers like Samsung and Apple are two of the biggest ones. Um, Actually, now are having you create a Samsung account or an Apple account when you first
Mm,
got your phone, or maybe way back when, and you just, that's how you can move all your stuff from one phone to the other is through that account.
right. Yeah.
They also have settings in there that'll let you, uh, you have to say yes, you want to use them or not.
Hmm.
But you can go into those settings someplace and you can have it so that you can find your phone anywhere. It'll GPS locate it and let you tell you right where your phone is if you
Right.
lost it. For one, the other thing they have on there is you can hit a button and wipe it. So now if you lose your phone, you can just jump on your computer, go to your Samsung account and go wipe my phone, and it takes all the information off your phone.
Is it, is there a way of uploading your information from your
Well,
phone so that
it
you haven't got, oh God, what phone numbers that I have? I've got to
Yeah,
reach
a
these
lot of
people
them are
again.
doing, yeah, and it's kind of all built into where a lot of them are doing that with and the carriers are doing that too. Verizon, AT&T, stuff like that have those backups.
Hmm.
Um, I would get it more if I was doing it myself. I would go for the manufacturer's one, not necessarily the carrier's one.
Right.
Um, for the simple fact that the manufacturer's one is making it easier to transfer information from one phone to the next. Um, and it's just a different angle. The carriers, AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile and all the big carriers, they're wanting to save everything in
Yeah.
multiple copies, and it's huge. So now they want to charge you an extra $10 a month for more storage space and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yes.
To where if you go with the other ones, sometimes you don't have to pay that. But it just depends on which phones and which, it's not a universal answer. It depends on what phone you have and what carrier and all that kind of stuff. But
So, so if you are an Apple or a Samsung, I'm a Samsung phone. If I go into Samsung and put in my number, I could create an account that I can upload everything up there. Because, we also look at
Mhm.
all our pictures,
Yeah,
right? And
the
that
biggest
is also another security thing. We have all these pictures on our phone. How many times a day do I get hit on social media with somebody, oh, I like your content, or you're very pretty, or this or that. Can we be friends? And I always go to their thing, nothing about them, pictures of themselves or generic pictures out there. Sorry, you're not a person.
Right.
right? So,
Yep.
yeah, and then that is a tip for if you're going to be on social media, make sure there is something there that people can look to see if you are a real person. They can follow it up with a website or whether this or that. There's content on there. Because if there isn't content on there, I am not friending.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And um that falls back into what we were talking about with the backups. And I
Yeah.
recommend everybody do three kinds of backups. So you have your working copy of whatever you're using, like you were talking about, whether it's pictures of the kids on the phone
Hmm.
or if it's work related stuff on your computer, whatever it is. And then you want to back it up to the cloud so that you can get to it no matter what. And that goes into the now you lose your phone, go get a new phone, you just download everything from the
You're right.
cloud, and all your pictures are right back where they were. For work stuff, you put it into some sort of cloud storage, either Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, or there's more than I can name third-party companies that would do that for you as well. Um,
Apparently,
and then
Amazon also, if you have an Amazon account, they have a huge
Yeah,
backup
yeah,
thing there as
Amazon,
well.
and I didn't even know that one, but somebody just told me that about a
Yep.
week or two ago. Somebody
Yep.
told me Amazon lets you store stuff for free there too. So,
Yes.
um, and then the third thing I recommend is getting that external hard drive. I mean, you can buy a 2 terabyte external hard drive that's the size of the palm of your hand. Yeah,
Yep.
and that's
This is a 2 terabyte.
yep, and that's actually an older one. They sell
Yep.
newer ones.
Yes, I'm about to have to go for it. This is my 3rd terabyte
Yeah,
because I back all my shows onto the hard
this
drive, so
this
in
is
case I
five
need them.
terabytes right here.
My God, that, oh, yes.
And I mean, it
Yeah,
fits in your shirt pocket.
right.
And it doesn't weigh any of the cord weighs more than the thing than more than
Yeah,
the drive does.
right.
The difference between this one and the one you have is the one you have is an old, I call it the old, um,
It's only about
is
two
a
years,
it's a
even that.
mechanical, right,
Yeah.
but the technology, it's a mechanical drive. So it's
Hmm.
literally the old-fashioned floppy disk sitting on a little miniature record player encased in
Right.
metal. This one is more like a thumb drive. It's just a circuit board. There's no
Ah.
moving parts.
And
So
and actually that is a great point because the one I have that goes has some of my older shows on there. The fan's gone. Right? So I have to take it in somewhere where they can retrieve, which I need to give them another one to retrieve it onto because I
yep,
can't retrieve the information anymore. So that's really
exactly.
good.
That's
So,
those, yeah, those typical, the mechanical hard drives, they call them hard disk drives, HDDs. They last about 5 years. These new solid state ones, the SSDs, that have no moving parts last for like 15 years. So and they used to cost a ton, but now the prices come down to where they're almost the same price because they're more
right.
popular. So, but the point to it is for less than $100, you can buy a 2 to 5 terabyte hard drive that will
Which I
hold.
need to do Black
Yep.
Friday. Yes, yes, I'm
And
actually
and
running out of
and that'll
space.
hold, for a typical consumer, that's, I mean, and most of it is driven by pictures and videos.
Mhm.
I mean, 5 terabytes is like the entire Library of Congress of Word documents and PDFs. I mean, that is those things are in kilobytes and the
Mm.
terabytes are in billions. So there's like a whole ton of.
Yeah.
Now when you start downloading video, in yours I'm sure is because you got podcasts with half
Yep.
an hour.
Podcast videos, podcast audios.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And everybody's sending you, pictures and
Yes, all of that.
logos and all that. So
Yeah.
that takes up a lot of space. If
Yes.
you're a bookkeeper and all you have is Excel spreadsheets and PDFs of bank statements, you could fit 10 years worth of that stuff in a
Yeah.
terabyte or two. So, and you can buy those drives for less than $100. Um,
And of course, it's Black Friday coming up, so this is the time to go and look for, a,
you know,
a, a special deal.
and the trick to this is you don't want to leave it hooked up. You hook
Right.
it up, like just get yourself into a routine, make a calendar invite, set an alarm, whatever you got to do
Yeah.
is like every Friday night, plug it in, let it do its thing overnight, unplug it Saturday morning, whatever, and leave it somewhere else. Because that way, if I hack into your computer
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
hooked up,
Hmm.
I can get the data off of that too, or
Right.
destroy that, or lock it up with a
Mm.
ransomware attack or whatever. But if
Yes.
it's not connected and it's sitting in a drawer somewhere or the bottom of your purse out in the car or whatever, I can't touch it. So you at least, and that's why I say make sure you do a cloud backup and
Yeah.
an external. Plus, I'm also know way too much about technology and I'm paranoid and don't like the cloud. I mean, I like the cloud for convenience, but I don't fully trust the cloud. So I want a
Exactly. I'm
copy of
I'm
my
like that.
stuff myself that I can hold in
Yeah.
my hand.
And also, I mean, like, you know what, I have Google Drive. And so, yes, anytime I take a picture on my phone, it goes up to Google Drive. So I know I've got that in case something happens. Um, but also, when people send me something, it automatically goes up to Google Drive, you know, pictures or videos. And sometimes you've got to go into those drives and make sure you're deleting stuff that's
Right.
taking space up that you just don't need, right? You know, only save what you need to
And you can
because,
archive things too. You
yeah,
don't have to
mm,
delete it. You could you could go buy another one of
yeah,
these, download, I mean, just categorize them by year. It's what, 2024. So you can go in
yeah,
there and go, okay, everything before 2020, I don't really need at the ready reference.
right,
Download all that onto a drive, store it someplace safe, and get it out of there. And that way you've only got a couple of years worth of stuff up there or whatever that you're
right. Yeah,
or
and
maybe it's
believe
even
me,
months or
that's
days or whatever, depends on your
yes.
business. But yeah, you don't need
That's
you
called maintenance. That's kind of what you do in your businesses is that maintenance. Go on, is this relevant? Can I delete it? Is this something that I really need to
yeah.
secure? How do I secure it? You know, it's that due
And
diligence of maintenance that we need to do.
that brings me actually, I just thought of this, just flew into my head. But one last thing to mention about that aftercare.
Hmm.
Now, when you go to throw away this thing after it dies, you have to destroy it. All the
Ah,
information on there. Either
yes.
physically, like literally drilling holes through it, take a hammer to it, whatever, dunk it in water or something. Um, or you need to take it to a professional that can wipe it, not just erase it. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but like when you hear about you can never really delete anything, that's
Yeah.
actually true.
They can
Um,
retrieve
it's
stuff
kind
that
of like
you,
the
yeah.
old library system. You
Mm,
don't actually pull the book off the shelf. You just take the card out of the Dewey Decimal Library that
mm,
says where it was. So now nobody will ever find it, but it's still sitting over there.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, so you want to make sure you're doing that kind of thing. And secure and think about your home devices too.
Mm,
It doesn't just go to computers.
yeah.
That old TV set you're getting ready to get rid of, you got your Netflix and your
Yeah.
Hulu and everything else you were logged in, so people know your
Right.
username and passwords. The next
Yes.
guy that gets
Yes.
that TV from the thrift shop or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I had it happen to me personally a few years ago. Uh, I was watching Amazon, um, a free movie on Amazon Prime, and I go to log into it, and there's my little profile that you click on, and all of a sudden, the next time I went to log in, there's my profile and some guy named Kevin, and I'm like,
Uh,
who the heck is Kevin, and why is he on my TV, right? So
right.
then we figured it out. My daughter had my old TV, and she had moved into an apartment with a bunch of people. And when she left the TV behind. So some guy just,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you
Oh,
need to
I've
get
got
that
free
TV back
Amazon.
and wipe
Yeah.
that thing back to factory reset or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ring doorbells, any of these devices that we're logging in and using, you got to make sure that you're setting them back to factory specs before you get
Yeah.
rid of it.
Yes. And you know, again, maintenance and due diligence. I want to go back to that first thing that you offer people, like you check their emails and things like. How do you do that? How do you do
Um,
that service?
So basically, um, if they reach out to me, the first thing I do is a free consultation to see, make sure we're a good fit, see exactly what they're looking for and what I can provide them. Um, and then the next thing I do is I work virtually, so kind of
Hmm.
basically just like this. I have you share your screen, walk you through, download this, put this here, do this, and we get all the security settings kind of up to date and put the software on there. The software itself is monitoring your computer, it's monitoring your network, which is usually, if you work from home, it's just a home router, or maybe some other couple other computers. Uh, and it's monitoring for any unusual activity. I can even tell anytime somebody plugs something into your computer, a thumb
Mm,
drive, the backup drive, your cameras, whatever. I can see other devices being plugged in, and it runs a security check on all those as well, just to make sure that there wasn't anything in there. Um, and the only thing it really doesn't do, it does an excellent job of keeping everything off of your computer. The only thing it's not that great at is identifying the phishing emails.
mm,
Um, and that's because I
They're
can't.
clever.
Well, it's no, it's not that. It's security software can't think for you. So I don't
Yeah,
know that you just met somebody down the street and told them to email you a
yeah,
proposal when you were in a Walmart parking lot or whatever. So
right,
I can't filter all your email for you because I don't know what's legit and what's not.
right, right.
So, I
Exactly.
mean, if it has malware in it, yeah, it's gone. You'll
Y-
never
y-
see it, right?
Right.
But if it was a legitimate looking email that said, click here to go to some fake link, I don't know if it's a fake link or not. I don't know if you
Mm,
asked for it, you know,
yes.
so some of this still falls on you to be diligent
Yeah.
about these emails. You can never really filter all that out. Um, they can at work. You work for some big company, you know, and I used to have this problem before. I worked for the Marine Corps, and as a
Mm,
civilian, people that worked with us would try to email me stuff, and it wouldn't even let the emails come in
yes.
because it didn't come from the
Yeah.
military or it didn't meet
Right.
the criteria. So, you know, for a normal business, you know, that's the last thing you want to do as a business owner is make it so nobody can get a hold of
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I'm
Um,
more of a person that I'll have you email me, because from the email I can deduce where I want to go. That's my form of communication. Um, not text. Very often messenger people come in, but I can at least follow a thread. I want to be able to look to see, are you the person that is
yeah,
sending this? If I cannot verify, and this is something I say to people like you're ambassador for Alignable, and that's your big platform. And Alignable is very supportive of businesses, small businesses especially. Um, and then, if there's a lot of security there, etc. And you're helping them with even more with it. So which is great. But whatever platform you're on, is that you're going to get bombarded with people wanting to friend you. And there's some people that just, buy bulk to get a lot of people. This is what you have to do in any form of business, is that, do I even want to friend this person? Is this person even at all aligned? Now, we're a little bit harder with podcasting because I don't know, but I have 19 different genres. So whatever they're coming from, I don't know, are they a listener? Are they wanting to do a show? And so it's a little harder. I can't niche down. Most businesses can kind of niche down. It's like, no, the plumber is not going to be somebody I'm going to serve, so it's not necessarily somebody I need to follow. But
right.
you've got to do that due diligence yourself and don't just click immediately, oh, another number. It's not about the numbers, it's about the credibility of the people that you have. And
Right.
you want to have smaller numbers and credible people that you can interact with. That's what social media is about, interaction, not just a massive, well, I've got 10,000 followers. 9,999 are fake,
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely true. And those are things that, you know, which is as with all things, this isn't something that you can just farm out 100% and say,
Mm,
oh, somebody else is taking, you know, I can take care of 90% of it, but you still got to
yes.
do some homework. You got to do your own diligence.
Yeah, your own deduction, but you're taking care of the vicious ones, right? So, and that's something, it's like, I know what it's like to be hit with malware. It's
Yeah.
it's it's
And that would be,
devastating
and
because
that's
it
the
just,
difference, I guess, would be, um, I still need you to quit clicking on those emails. But the good news is when you do click on them and it tries to load something on your computer within milliseconds, I've got it shut down. And
yeah.
so it
Exactly.
never
So
actually
this
makes
is
it all
all
the
in
way
the
into your computer.
programming that you have there. You obviously
Yeah.
are not there with everybody's
Right.
computer.
Yeah. I've
So
got
it's,
the software that I offer, um, does a lot of the heavy lifting itself. And then behind the scenes, there's a 24/7, what they call a SOC, a Secure Operations Command Center. They've actually got three of them around the planet in different time zones. And there's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody is watching a screen to see. And as soon as it flags and says, oh, malware is going on this computer, somebody will actually physically take over in there and start shutting things down and make sure that it can't get in.
right, which is what we need. And it's sad. Really, quite honestly, we look at the state of the world right now, and it's kind of sad that we've come to this. As humans, we have enormous amount of potential, but we still seem to take the easy way out. As long as I'm okay, I don't care if I screw
Just
you over.
Yeah, well, just look at the, you know, I mean, it happens that way with everything. You know,
Yes.
look at all the Western movies. You know,
Yes.
the same time they were building railroads from the East Coast to the West Coast across the wild frontier,
Yeah.
at within what 5, 10 years, all of a sudden you got, Jesse James and all these other guys that are robbing
Robbing the trains.
trains and
Yeah,
all this.
yeah.
It's
And
human
that's our
nature.
human nature. And unfortunately, it's one of the scourges of our human nature. And this is something that, as a very spiritual person, we're invited to kind of rise up above that. But we're still very much entrenched in that. And while we are, we've got to do all the protection that we can. So, do you charge people for the actual program, or is it a monthly thing that the people pay
I
you
do
on?
a monthly. I used to charge individual little pieces and parts, and then I basically charged up front for a big consulting fee and took care of all the
Mm,
work within the first month or so. It was a half up front, half when I was done, but it was unaffordable. So
right,
um, and I didn't want to like shortchange myself because they
right.
always tell us as business owners, you have to know what
Yes.
your value is and don't undercut. Um, because then it doesn't look like you're legit because you're offering way too much for way too little. So one day I was actually, it's kind of a funny story. I was watching TV at Christmas time and I saw all these commercials for a new iPhone that came out. This is like 2 or 3 years ago. And in my head, I'm thinking, how are all these broke people running around here with $3,000 phones? And
Mm,
it's like, and then it hit me. I was like, because they take the price of the phone and they spread it out over a 3 year
yes,
contract. And I'm like,
yes,
well, I can do that.
yeah, yeah.
So basically the way I have my packages set up now is it's all inclusive. I don't do this, add this, add this, add
Hmm.
this stuff because I want to know how much things are going to cost when I get started. I don't want to,
Yeah.
you know. So I have a set price. Well, I shouldn't say I have a set price. I give you a written quote that says everything I'm going to do and how much it's going to cost you. And I do a monthly payment for 24 months. And then after that, then you kind
So
of
how much a month?
24 months.
24 months, right?
Yep,
So the
2 years.
people,
It's
the contract
two-year
will be for
contract.
24 months, right?
Yep. And then at the end of that 2 years, most I haven't lost a client yet, actually.
Mm,
Almost all my clients at the end of that 2 years switch to a lower rate because now all you're really paying for is the security software and the monitoring, and you don't have to pay for all my time and energy and labor that went into setting
right.
everything up because we're kind of more in maintenance mode of just keeping it that way. So the price drops significantly, but then they just keep on paying a monthly fee for as long as they want my services.
Excellent. And it's one of those costs that you need to have as a business.
Mhm.
As a solopreneur, the biggest problem is how much does it cost to run my business? I may not have bricks and mortar, but you have to look at your computer as if you have bricks and mortar. It's just different
Right.
forms of bricks and mortar. You have to have security. There's so many things you have to have in place to be able to run your business online. And the
And
beauty of it is that you can work anywhere in the world, but that even more so, you need the security to protect yourself.
and I think we had discussed before that if anybody contacts me through your podcast with the code word discovery, then I'll give them a 10% discount right off the well, that comes off of everything, so it'll be 10% cheaper. Um, and as I said, I also do free consultations. So anybody who has any, random questions or wants to talk to me a little bit more and see if they really need security or not, or
Yeah.
what kind of things. Some people have a lot of things in place already and are doing fine. Other
Mm.
people uh, have an enormous amount of their customers' information and are not adequately protected.
Right. So it's good to assess the business of whether this serves them or not. And thank you very much for that 10% for my clientele. People have to listen to the show to get that, though.
Yeah.
Um, so if they have listened to the show and they want that 10%, they want to reach out to you, where do they go? And if they do email you, should they put in their discovery so that you know that they've
So
listened to
yeah,
the show?
an easy way. I mean, the most preferred way to me is I can provide you with a link that goes to my contact page. So if they go to my website on the contact page and fill out some basic information, things I need to know to be able to help them, how many computers they have and things like that. Name, address, business name, the business contact information and how many computers. Um, and that'll set them up with a free consultation and there's a spot in there to enter the code. if they can't remember all that, they can just shoot me an email and mention that they saw your podcast and we can go from there.
Okay. And of course, the website and your email is?
My email is consultant at cybersecurity4biz.com, and with the number four. And my website is cybersecurity4biz.com.
Right. And of course, alignable. Give your alignable one as well.
I think it's the same. Yeah, my alignable is also cybersecurity4biz.
Great. And you're on other social medias as well, but the alignable is the one because you're the
Yeah,
ambassador
I've,
for it.
I've been pretty consistent. My LinkedIn, I actually have a LinkedIn. I've only been on there a couple months and I don't have a lot of activity on there, but, and some of the other social media I've had for years, but I haven't really kept up with it. But all those are under, cybersecurity for biz or CS for biz. I shortened the
Right.
cybersecurity to CS. So that's where they can find me on all my social media, but
Excellent. It's one of the facts, a lot of people, obviously COVID, I got busier and busier during COVID. Obviously, I started doing even more shows because it was about the pivot. People that would go to businesses to do their program, how do they now put it online for those same businesses?
right,
And so many people like, oh, I can do this online. I can reach more people. I don't have to get in the car and drive somewhere. But if now you do have to look at, what kind of programs are you signing up for that you're going to use? Are they secure? What kind of security have you set up to protect your client stuff, to protect yours? You could be a counselor and you're doing stuff online. How do you protect the information? Or the therapist,
right.
so much is done online. How do you protect that
Yeah.
information?
And
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 so,
a lot of my clients are bookkeepers from that exact reason,
mm,
bookkeepers and tax preparers. Uh, for those of us, smaller businesses, that's usually one of the first things we farm out is bookkeeping and taxes.
yeah,
Um, and most of these bookkeepers are also solopreneurs working from home, and they have an enormous amount of information about you. I mean,
yes,
you've given them all your bank statements, all your credit card statements, your last year's taxes. They've got all your 401k and everything else
hmm
numbers.
yeah,
They have a lot of stuff about you that really needs to be, so those are, as a consumer, those are the questions we need to start asking.
yeah.
Ask your bookkeeper, ask your tax preparer when they go to ask you all this information, be like, oh, how are you going to keep that safe? And if they don't have a good answer, you might want to find a different one.
Right. And you've again a lot of holistic medical people. They're taking in medical information, and you may be treating people holistically in a different way, but you're still taking in valuable information. And an awful lot of people that are doing counseling work, they're taking in information that needs to be protected. So, we really got to have a look at, I mean, some people may look, well, I don't even know if I do need this in my kind of business, but that's what the call is with you, is to find out, are you vulnerable? Where are you vulnerable? What kind of support that you need, which is
Yeah,
really important because, it is important. Unfortunately, as a solopreneur or small business, we really do have to look at protecting because if we don't, we're laying ourselves, just not us vulnerable, but all those that we're serving vulnerable. So we have to look at that. It's not just affecting you, it's going to affect everybody around you. And it's unfortunate that we have to do this. You can't just do Norton or McAfee or this and that. And I've had them all and don't even have those right now. I just have CCleaner, which is really good picking up things. I have Guardio, which picks up stuff for me. But it's you don't always know when you get these platforms, how good are they? How in depth are they?
right.
What are they scanning to really actually understand? Because it's not generally the big thing that comes into the scan, it's the little one. Through the phishing, through the texting, through this and that they come. Does your security thing help people protect their phones as well? Because so many people
Yep.
do stuff on phones.
Yep. I can do desktop, laptop, tablets, phones, anything.
That's a big one because I mean, millennials especially My kids don't know how to run a website, but when it comes to phone, everything is done on that.
Yeah.
And
And
people
it
are,
depends on your business model. I mean, most people still do most of their business on a computer, but I've got some clients that do a lot of traveling and
yeah,
they're checking, store everything in Google Drive and can look at it on their phone and,
yes,
so their phone needs protected too. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. With chat GBT, um, a lot of people are using AI today as in the form of business. How do you secure that? Or
So,
is the security already embedded in that?
well, that's the $1 million question right there.
Oh,
Yes, because it's kind of like cloud storage. You can't really do much. You have to trust that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing on their end.
mm, mm,
Um, so the problem with AI and Chat GPT and all the other AI companies, and they're being embraced like crazy. I mean,
yeah, I use it.
Gemini and everything. You can't use an Android device or a Google uh, tool without having AI tossed at you. The same thing like now even Windows. I mean, I've got an AI search engine down at the bottom of my taskbar now, and I
Hmm.
can't get rid of that thing. Um, but the problem with it is, how was it trained?
Mm,
Um, and I say that to mean if you have if you have an AI bot that's doing customer service for you on your website, so you don't have to worry about messaging people back, and it helps them find, which a lot of social media places and web developers are pushing that technology these days, and it is a great way to be able to interact with customers 24/7 without you actually being awake at 3 o'clock in the morning to text somebody back.
yeah,
But the problem is, what if they get in there and say, hey, can you give me a list of all your customers that have this medical condition or whatever?
yeah.
And is the chat GPT smart enough to answer that question without data dumping everybody's medical record? Or is
I
it going
don't
to
know.
give me
That's
all
in.
of them? You know,
I
I
know
mean,
that actually I was asking something legal, and it said, I'm sorry, I'm not equipped to do that. So they do
okay,
have
and that's a
certain
good
things,
thing.
but
Yeah.
how far does it go?
Exactly,
Right?
because you get a bad guy in there going, hey, can you just give me a list of all your customers that have this and this and
Yeah.
this or that, or give me everybody's credit card number, or so, when it asks me for a credit card, I just go back and say, well, just use the last one the other guy gave you or whatever. Is it smart enough to react to that? And I like to hear that you said, you've actually seen that where it popped up and said, hey, I'm not legally able to answer this
Yeah.
question. That's a
Yeah.
good answer right there. And those are the things that as a consumer, we need to do our diligence and homework
Yes.
into these AI platforms to find out what precautions do they have built in to make sure that this thing isn't going to
And
give
especially if
away all
you
my
are using it
information.
as a form of customer service, because
Mhm.
it is taking in information. How much information do you want it to take? If it's
Right.
just kind of, a gathering thing and then you're going to respond and it filters out, then that's still in your empowerment. So it's like, how much power do we give it?
Mhm.
And maybe test it.
Yeah.
Test it along the line. Ask it to do something, and if it says no, then you go, okay, then I know I'm covered there. I'm actually going to be interviewing AI, which is one of my things to do. I really want to, I'm
Yeah.
intrigued to know how it'll go with that. But it's here to stay. We cannot
Oh, yeah.
lose that.
This has been coming forever. I mean, the whole reason
Yes.
why computers were made way back in the 70s,
Mm,
when PCs first started coming out, was to make people's lives easier. And if you can get
yep.
a computer to start to, but like you just said, the decision maker in the loop. This was our mantra with the Marine Corps when I
Mm,
was working doing software for the Marine Corps, and everybody wanted us to automate the heck out of everything. And it was like, you got to have a Marine in the loop. Yes, I
yes.
can have a missile figure out the best place to drop the bomb and have AI figure out the radius and this and that and be all that, but I can't have it launch itself.
No,
I have someone in
exactly.
there looking at the information going, yeah,
Otherwise, we're looking at iRobot.
exactly. It's like there's got to be you need to. I'll let AI write messages for me all day long and show
Yes.
them to me to proofread, but I am not
Yeah.
letting it send out social media posts without me knowing about it. That is not happening.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something that we really have to do. And of course, if you don't know how to do, there's an awful lot of people out there that can help you with that
Mhm.
thing. And it's worthwhile, putting the money up front to do things like that so you are using it properly. All of these things have great benefits. But A, do you need it? right? Is it worthwhile, for you to use it? Will it free up your time? Will it really assist you? And have you put things in place that, it doesn't go iRobot on you?
Right. Well, and that's what I tell people. It's a tool.
Yes,
It's a
exactly.
wrench. It's a wrench in your toolbox. You use the wrench to fix your car. You don't just toss a wrench into the garage and go, "Hey, fix my car for me. I'll be back later." And hopefully
Yeah.
it's right. It's yeah.
Yeah, and it is absolutely an amazing tool. I do use it. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to change a lot of the way that we do business, or even interact with people in many ways. But we, as you said, we've still got to have the hands on the wheel and the foot on the pedal, because otherwise we're surrendering and giving ourselves up without any accountability ourselves. And ultimately, no matter what, whoever we hire, we are always accountable ourselves and responsible ourselves for our decision making, what we do and what we don't do. And so we must always remember that no matter what.
Very true.
Mm. So, if you are a small business out there and you are gathering a lot of information and you feel that this is vulnerable and you have been hacked or you've got a lot of the phishing, unfortunately, phishing he still can't help you with, but that's something you have to do. But he can certainly help you with anybody that's out there to kind of get your information or contaminate your computer, all of that protection that you need, especially protecting your client's information, which is absolutely huge. Because if you don't have that protection, something happens, you're liable. Doesn't matter who hacked you, you're liable. It doesn't matter if it's a bank, this or that, and they give you money back, or what if the case is, you're still liable for that information going out. So reach him on cybersecurity for the number four, biz.com, or consultant at cybersecurity4biz.com. Remember to say discovery, and you get that discount. And but have a chat. Have a chat to see if it's a fit for you. Do you need this? Because you don't know. You don't know what you need, right? Because we don't. We're not in the business of cybersecurity. We don't know. We know we need something, but we have no idea what we need. And that's the first call. Have a chat with Todd to find out if his services are for you. And if they are, to get them in place, it's that peace of mind. Just like your house insurance, your car insurance, your health insurance, it's that peace of mind that somebody else is looking out for you, which is so important. Thank you so much for sharing here, Todd. Lots of beautiful, valuable information today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Until next time, folks, remember we can go wild online and doing business around the world. This is the beauty of it. But we do need to have protection. We have to make sure we're secure. That peace of mind so you can go and do what you do best. Until next time, bye for now.